Alright, let's randomise another one. Last stream went really well. A lot better. Oh man. Oh man, it's back again. So, what is on the wheel today? On this day of all days, we have Magic Trick, Phantom Feast, Interstellar Errands, just Nigel. Nigel is sat on the wheel and he refuses to get off, so we just put him there. Destiny Fails Us, A New Life, The Maker's Eden, Tangrams Deluxe, I love a good Tangram, Served, Returning Maiden, and yes, you guessed it, Crest, an indirect god game. That's either way. Let's spin the wheel and see what we get. We have Returning Maiden. I don't know what the kanji in front of it says. Should we have a look at what the kanji in front of it says? The kanji in front of it says, I don't know. Is it Chinese rather than Japanese then? Oh, return. Oh, it does actually say Returning Maiden. Okay. That is actually what it says. I just don't know how to pronounce it. I speak some Japanese. We had a bit of a brief display in Bonsai Calendar. I can say the seasons. That's all I'm limited to. All right, Returning Maiden. What is this game? Bonsai Calendar was a rush. Bonsai Calendar was amazing. All right, Returning Maiden. Partner game inspired by legends. Woody RPG. Oops. What is a partner game? We have English and Chinese, so it was indeed Chinese, not Japanese. Makes sense. It's only 284 kilobytes. Small game. Story-driven partner game based on the ancient Chinese legend of Yangtze. Oh, it's an RPG. I think partner game is an RPG. Maybe? In this game, you'll take on the roles of Chang'e and Yi, and will retell the story of how you found back together. Return Maiden was created with the Element dice system in mind, but it's a standalone game that can be played with regular dice at D6. All you need is 6 dice, 3 black and 3 white, and you can go on your journey as Chang'e and Yi to find back together. Okay. I mean, the screenshots don't give away much. How they get back together. I'm not going to make fun of the... I mean, I totally am, actually. How they find back together. That's what we got to find. And it is just a PDF. So, Returning Maiden. Ah, we have a pronunciation guide. This is pronounced... Except the pronunciation guide has a load of accents in it that I'm going to completely butcher. And it is, of course, papyrus. Guimei? I'm going to say Guimei. I'm butchering that. Gui is translated with return. This stands for younger sister. May stands for younger sister, and in this case, maiden. It is the title of the 54 hexagram in I Ching. That clears that up then. Should we restart the timer? Okay. So, Returning Maiden is a partner game for 2 based on the narrative role-playing game, The 5 Powers, and uses the Element dice system. I don't know what the Element dice system is, honestly. I'm familiar with quite a few like base systems that games build on top of, but I unfortunately am not familiar with the Element dice system. Game is based on 5 Powers and follows the same narrative structure. Useful, don't know what that is. This means the stories you tell each other are based on your shared creativity. The worlds you create are supposed to be limitless and only restricted by your imagination. In this setting, there will be some restrictions to this world. The ancient Chinese legends this game is based on already shapes aspects of the world you will tell together, but it leaves enough room to make the setting your own. You can embrace the ancient settings provided by the legends, or you could transport these legends into a modern or even futuristic frame. Ideally, you have the 5 powers rolls of the element dice at hand. I'm afraid I don't. Set of dice. Okay, I'm assuming that they're just the elements rather than the elements of the periodic table. But hey, who knows? But you can play Returning Maiden without the narrative frames of the rules and with regular D6 dice. You should, however, get yourself familiar with the element dice system and how to interpret the dice rolls. Okay, so it very heavily builds off a system and expects you to know that system already. Hexagram 54 of the I Ching shows thunder over a lake. The 2 tangrams are open, representing a swamp or lake, and Zhen, shake, standing for thunder. There are many interpretations of this hexagram, and many of these interpretations... I'm very confused right now. Many of these interpretations see the hexagram as a bad omen. We acknowledge these interpretations in the initial setting of the game and move forward focusing on the Confucian interpretation of the hexagram and its focus on propriety. This propriety calls for bilateral actions, one of the driving forces in this part of the game. I love bilateral actions. To resolve the bad omen of the hexagram, the story of the 2 partners sends men to create the elements that represent 2 trigrams. Following the philosophy of yin and yang and the 5 elements or powers, the lower trigram shows a swamp or lake, represented by the element metal, while the upper trigram shows the shaking of thunder and associated with the element wood. This is the most bizarre RPG rulebook I've ever read. I must say. Okay, let's just have the gameplay. We've got an intro. As you assemble the elements, a light starts to glow, each element glowing in their colour. The assembled elements slowly lifting from the ground, soon hovering and swirling around you, dancing to the eternal melody of the universe. The glow of the elements intensifies when suddenly a bright light engulfs you. You see the swirling elements as they shift through the circle of creation. Metal! Found in the earth, created by fire from wood and nourished by water. Wood! Nourished by water, collected by metal, found in the earth, created from fire. This is the history of physics. You hover amidst the newly created elements, you reach out and grasp them. As you hold them tight, a beam of bright light shoots in the air, connecting moon and earth. Chang'e and Yi. You smile as you float up, knowing you will be reunited again. Chang'e returning home, Yi patiently welcoming. Alright. So, in this game for 2, the players take over the roles of Chang'e on the moon and the archer Yi back on Earth. The partners take turns in telling each other the story of how they both found the elements needed to create the elements of metal and wood, which allowed them to be reunited. To bring Chang'e back from the lonely palace on the moon... There's a palace on the moon? How has NASA not found it yet? Each player needs to go out to find 8 elements to create metal and wood. Chang'e seeks to create a yin metal and a yang wood, while Yi seeks to create a yang metal and yin wood. What's a yin metal? Alright, to create metal, Chang'e and Yi both need water, wood, fire, and earth. Chang'e needs to assemble these elements in yin, while Yi needs to assemble them in yang. To create wood, they need fire, earth, metal, and water. Chang'e seeks to collect these elements in yang, while Yi collects them in yin. Alright, tell you the story. The game is built on the element dice system. To collect these elements, the players need to store them from their rolls, preventing the elements from affecting the scene. The players are rolling the dice. One second, I just need to read that again. To collect these elements, the elements that you need to create the yin metal, yin wood, and yang wood, the players need to store them from their rolls, preventing the elements from affecting the scene, from effecting the scene. The players are rolling the dice. This will influence the rolls, and with this, the story. I shouldn't make fun. I never like making fun. Like, if something is properly localized, then I'll make fun of any little typo. When it's like, this is clearly just like a bad translation, and I don't know if it's just because someone just didn't know it. I don't know. Let's make all the funs, it's fine. The stories the players tell each other are memories of their quest to find back together. They tell about the dangers they have overcome and the wonders they have witnessed. The players take turns in retelling their story. After one player collects an element in their story... Yeah, it's ball poking fun. After one player collects an element in the story, the other partner continues their side of the story. The story goes back and forth until both have collected all elements needed. In this part of the game, an additional mechanic is introduced in the element dice system. On their quest to collect these elements, the players will interpret each other's roles. Chang'e will interpret the positive yang elements, and Yi the negative yin elements in Yi's story. Yi will, in return, interpret the positive yang elements in Chang'e's story, while Chang'e interprets the negative yin elements. The 5 power is based on one of the 5 elements. The table of elements, the periodic table of elements definitely has more elements than that. These elements are better. The aspects of these elements will guide you in role-playing your character. Refer to the table in the back and chose the element and aspect you want to explore further in your game for your character. Yi's character is based on a military background as archer. While referring to Yi's talents, this should be the main consideration. Chang'e has consumed the elixir of life and gained immortality. That explains why I can breathe on the moon. For this, Chang'e was transcended to the moon to live in solitude in a palace on the dark side of the moon. So it's a dark, lonely palace. That's why NASA's not found it yet. It's too dark. They really need some like candles up there. Another immortal on the moon is Wu Gang, who is doomed to chop down an immortal, ever-growing osmanthus tree. This was a twist that came out of nowhere. Wu Gang was sent to the moon for giving up on 3 tasks. Healing, Chinese chess, and the method of eternal life. One of those is not like the others. There will be a quiz on this, everybody. What was I up to? Wu Gang might be Chang'e's best bet at obtaining the elements needed. The game starts with Chang'e being transcended to the moon, out of reach for Yi. Chang'e wanders the moon and finally reaches a palace. There, Chang'e finds Yutu, the Jade Rabbit. He's also on the moon. Sorry. Sorry, there's also a Jade Rabbit on the moon. We didn't mention that. We didn't mention that up until now because it wasn't relevant, but there's a Jade Rabbit up there. It's just the Lunarians, right? Of course the moon has Lunarians. Toho has taught us all this. Brewing medicine for the gods, because that's where you brew medicine, on the moon. Yutu was given immortality for offering himself as food to a goddess disguised as an old beggar. Yutu tells Chang'e about the elements needed to reconnect with Yi. Chang'e is faced with a world of wonders on the dark side of the moon. This is an opportunity for you to discover a whole new unseen world. I'm losing it. Hold it together. Hold it together. Hold it together. Yi back on Earth finds help in a magpie. The separation of Chang'e and Yi. Oh, it's good that Magpie cares about our plight. This is almost certainly straight out of Chinese folklore, but that does not mean that I'm not going to poke fun at it, because this is hilarious. It's mostly just how it's written. Like, the Magpie offers to help and tell Yi about the elements needed to reconnect with Chang'e. Yi is faced with our own world, but you should take this opportunity to add mysteries in the world. After all, this is a world in which animals talk, goddesses roam the earth, and elixirs of life are reality. And there are bunnies on the moon. This world, however, does not need to be ancient China. You could play in a modern setting, or even in a future world. Alright, elements and their aspects. Wood, spring, growing, vitality, idealism, spontaneity, curiosity, anger, kindness. Tiger. just tiger. Monkey, bear, crane, deer. Chi is not an element. It's like, oh, here are the elements. Chi is not an element. It is the omnipotent energy that creates everything. Chi creates yin and yang, which are expressed in the 5 elements of powers. I don't understand anything. Oh, you use these numbers in the table for rolling with a regular d6. You know what? We need some elements. We need some elements. So I've got myself a d6. It's not an element die, unfortunately. But we do have a d6. Well, I think that of course we're playing the game. We're playing the game right now. So I guess the element die has these sides on it, right? These symbols, these kanji. All right, we're gonna take an element, and then we have to explain how we acquired the element. That's the game, I think. Facecam a little better. Facecam a little bigger. Why not? It'll mess up my interface, but why not? Oh, it's locked. That's why not. Hi. I'm behind the game. That's about as big as I can make it, because I'm behind everything, you see. You see the problem right now. So, we got a d6. We're going to roll it, and we're going to get an element. This is the game, I think. We got a 2. That gives us fire, intensity, hate, shame, honor. These are like opposites. Flowering, swelling, brimming with energy. Pounding fire monkey. I need to make the face cam smaller. I might make another interface where I can like switch to face cam, but I don't have that at the moment, so I'm gonna leave it as it is for the moment. Sorry. It bothers me too much. All right. And this is the back page. It's just this. It's just some coffee stains, I assume. So I hope everyone understands how to play this game. I might do a let's play at some point. I feel like it would probably make more sense in Chinese. Is this... Okay, that's 5 powers. That's, yeah. Those are the dice you get. How very weird. Maybe it would make more sense if we understood the element die system. I lied.